All right, thank you. Alongside Cheryl Pounder and Jamie McLennan. What a win for the Winnipeg Jets, guys. In what was as close to a must-win game as you can get. You do not want to go down 0-2 going back to Dallas. You need your best players in the playoffs. You hear that all the time. And the best player on the Winnipeg Jets is Connor Hellebuyck. And really, maybe for the first time these playoffs, except possibly outside Game 2 against St. Louis, he had his complete A game tonight, Jamie.
Well, and that's why they were chanting MVP. Mm-hmm. And, you know, when you have a guy who's going to win the Vezina and is in that Hart conversation, that's what was on display tonight. And yes, he got a couple favorable bounces, but Connor Hellebuyck was rock solid right from the drop of the puck. And when he's on his game, it's the body language. He's at the top of his crease. He's daring shooters to go around him. And, you know, when I talked about favorable bounces, if that was against St. Louis, that goes in the net. But he continued to battle all night. This is an unbelievable save. But again, against St. Louis, that bounces to the back door and ends up in the back of his net, where he gets a little bit of help from his defender. But Connor Hellebuyck was dialed in all night. Left pad save in tight. So when you look at it, your number one goaltender had to have a statement game. This was his best game of the playoffs and arguably one of his best games here in the last month of calendar time.
He had allowed 3 goals at least in his last 6 playoff starts. So what a turn of events for Connor Hellebuyck, looking like he's starting to peak as these playoffs go deeper and deeper. 4th career playoff shutout for Hellebuyck, by the way. Now, Cheryl, Scott Arnael, after Game 1, pretty critical of his team. He called it, it looked like a game in the middle of December. So you had a feeling that they were going to come out stronger tonight in Game 2. They did that. They also had Josh Morrissey back in the lineup. And talk about making an immediate impact. I mean, 17 seconds into this game, he draws a penalty.
Yeah, and they have their entire lineup, right? Everyone's back. And you got Lowry, you've got Ehlers, and you've got the quarterback in your power play who plays in all situations. Played over 22 minutes, I might add, tonight, coming back into the lineup. And you said it, 17 seconds in, the guy drives a 4-minute penalty. So right off of the hop, you have an opportunity on the power play. Well, you want to dictate pace in a game. This is the perfect opportunity, and they cash in, they deliver. They recover pucks. I felt like they were working the puck nicely low, but how about Morrissey? Little bump play to Ehlers. Ehlers a little bit of a block shot, and of course, Ottinger can't reset there, so Velarde's able to put it in the back door. But that's just the IQ of someone like Josh Morrissey. I mean, he manipulates the blue line. He's your quarterback. The way he skates, his spacing through the neutral zone. I mean, he is just such a magnificent player on the back end for the Winnipeg Jets, and I really felt like they got the start that they needed. If you look back to the first game, I mean, they were outshot 8-0 to start that game, and they found their rhythm because of the first few minutes of that game.
And nothing like easing him into it. He played over 9 minutes in that first period. But the biggest challenge for the Winnipeg Jets, you hear coaches say it, and it's such a cliche, but play on your toes. They played fast tonight, and that's exactly what you needed, especially for a start. You want to push the Dallas Stars back, force them to defend and play in their own zone. They were able to do that, draw the penalty, get the power play goal, but they looked really good in the first period and didn't look back after that.
Yeah. So if there was a checklist for Scott Arnael, you know, after Game 1, it's like we have to have a better start to the game. Our power play needs to be better, but up on the priority list had to be, how do we slow down or stop Mikko Rantanen, the hottest player right now in hockey? The guy came in assisting or scoring 12 straight Dallas goals, which is a Stanley Cup playoffs record. Well, tonight, they smothered Rantanen.
They really did. You take away his time and his space. You're not always going to take his body away, right? But you can take his stick away, and you don't want him to get a ton of puck touches, and he didn't tonight. And when he only gets 1 shot on net, you know that you've limited to the best of your ability. And it really felt like it was a connected effort. Whether it was Adam Lowry on him, everyone was making sure that they were tight around him. Like after Game 1, Adam Lowry said, we were burned on the plays before the play with him. So what that means is you can't let him get to certain spots on the ice where he can get his shot off. And that's exactly what they were able to do. Not only keep him along the wall, keep him at bay, but not only were they able to shut him down, but now all of a sudden you shut him down in layers. You got a little frustration there, and that's exactly what you want. But it was the play before the play, and I love that comment by Adam Lowry, just making sure that you were taking care of it before it became dangerous.
Well, you're going to chase him around all night. When the moose has been loose, the thing is the focal point, yes, you've got to shut down some of their top players, but this guy's been on the heater of all heaters. So if you limit his time and space and really pay a little extra attention to him, you would think that would free up other players, but you find a way to shut him down. It really was a stepladder shutdown for everybody because there wasn't a lot of high-quality chances outside of, a couple good chances and Hellebuyck making those saves.
So the stars were the stars for Winnipeg, and Winnipeg has, depth stars as well. A guy like Nikolai Ehlers playing just his 4th game of the playoffs here tonight, Jamie, and he made a pretty good impact as well. He's all over the score sheet, but beyond that, it just makes this team so complete. To your point, Cheryl, when they're all back together finally for the first time in a long time.
Well, he's such a speedy player. He's a nifty player. And, when we had Kevin Sawyer on talking about how he's able to shift his speed, different rates going in, and the neutral zone slow things down, speed it up into the offensive zone. Nikolai Ehlers is a very unique player offensively. And when you're that creative, he's a guy that, looks for all of his options, but he's got a terrific shot. That's the one thing. He's not a big guy, but he can really bring the puck. This is what you'll call a favorable bounce, but he's looking for Scheifele on the back door. Scheifele's driving hard there. Ehlers got a little bit of chip and swagger to his game as well. This, you'll take a freebie from 180 feet away, buries it into the open net. But Nikolai Ehlers, as you mentioned, was all over the score sheet, but he is a difference maker when he's healthy, and you can see that he felt really good in tonight's game.
Yeah, he can create space because of that shifting, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's his off speed or whether he's going hard, but it's how he manipulates his edges, his turnbacks to lose coverage. And on his first goal, I really like the effort of Scheifele as well.
Yeah.
When you think of someone like Mark Scheifele and what he can do in the offensive zone, you also think about him off of the puck. And that's exactly how I thought that this goal actually happened. Not only did he recover it on one side of the ice, he recognized that everyone was there, so he just threw it over to the other side. But look at him tracking. He says, I'm going to get to the weak side. So now all of a sudden the defenseman has to hold pat in the middle of the ice. So yeah, Ehlers is throwing it to the net, recognizing that Scheifele is coming down that backside as a right-handed shot. But now all of a sudden the defenseman cannot move. Right?
Yeah.
So that's going to hit his foot and go in. Yes, it's a lucky bounce, but if he's not there, it's going through to Scheifele. I just loved the route that Scheifele took.
And sometimes you do need a little bit of an extra bounce here or
Oh,
there.
yeah.
When it's your night, the bounces go that way. As I pointed out, Hellebuyck had a couple favorable bounces at the other end.
Noodles, you wouldn't have liked me because one game in particular, as a defenseman, I put 2 in my own net.
It happened.
Yeah, 2.
I mean, I put a lot in my own net. People didn't like me some nights.
Gabe Vilardi opened the scoring tonight, guys. Made it 1-0 Jets. Here he is, new on SC.
How would you describe that, I guess, energy level and just overall performance, you guys?
Yeah, good energy in the building. It's really fun out there. I thought we played pretty solid. I think we had a kind of brief period there in the second where we relied on Helly a bit too much, but other than that, I thought it was a pretty good game.
What does a performance like this tell you guys, if you needed to know anything about this series or yourselves?
I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know what it tells us. I think we already knew. It doesn't tell us anything we didn't already know.
No.
I think we're a good team. I think they're a good team. It's going to be a tight series every game.
How much of a difference did Josh Morrissey have out there?
Yeah, it's really good to see him out there. He's always jumping in the rush, but he's so reliable defensively, and he's a key part of our team, and it's good to have him back, and good to have him on the power play as well.
This game looked a lot like a couple of the games that you had against this team in the regular season. Is there a feeling that if you guys play a certain way, there's not really any other outcome than what we saw tonight?
I think it's two teams with similar structure that are very defensively sound. So I think a lot of the time it's kind of a waiting game and seeing who breaks first or who capitalizes on their special teams. I think we were able to get that power play early, which was good for us. And like I said, other than that brief period in the second, I thought we kind of limited their grade A's.
Touching on that, your starts haven't been the best so far at these playoffs. I mean, is that an example of how games turn in your favor when you do get a better start?
Well, I mean, yeah, I think just chasing the games isn't how you want to be playing. So obviously to get a power play, a 4-minute power play within 20, 30 seconds of the game is a great opportunity to capitalize and like you said, get the early lead.
Where were you guys looking to find space? It looked like you and Ehlers had some room besides the net. Is that kind of what you drew up?
I think it's just reading off what they're giving you. I'm not really gonna get into much of what we're doing out there, but you take what they give you, and then sometimes they kind of mix it up. But I think Fly did a really good job on my goal there, just getting possession of that and getting it to the net.
First time since March that all 5 of you guys, I think, have been on the same unit. How big is that in terms of whipping it around and making those decisions as quickly as you guys did?
Yeah, I mean, we were very successful this year. So, I mean, it's just got to keep it going. I mean, special teams are so crucial in the playoffs. So I think we had a lot of opportunities, and I think there's still room for improvement for sure.
How much better are you feeling as the games go on here?
Yeah, definitely. I think the last 2 games have been much better than the first round. It's definitely tough to come in, in Game 5 when, guys have been basically going to war for 4 games. But I knew that coming in to that series. But, yeah, I definitely do feel a little bit more confident out there.
Thanks.
All right, good job.
Thank you.
Connor Hellebuyck led the NHL with 8 shutouts in the regular season, added another tonight.
On your power play got you guys an early lead. How key was that to getting you guys off to the start that you wanted?
Yeah, it's always great when you can get the lead and kind of play your game and trust your game. That being said, it was a full 60 tonight. We couldn't take the brakes. We couldn't put the brakes on at all and couldn't take a break, and I thought we just did that.
A few moments where things did kind of go awry. You had the answers for a couple of their rush plays. What did you see on the dead on off rebound shot?
Yeah, I kind of locked eyes with it, and it didn't go right on his tape, so I had a little bit of time, and good read.
Since the third period of Game 7, do you feel like looking back on the last 2 games in a bit that you're in the rhythm that you need to be to have success?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there was stretches of the first round where I really liked my game, just wasn't getting the results, but broke it down, built it back better, and I like where we're at, and the team in front of me is playing phenomenal, so we're gonna have fun. Just continue to have fun.
Connor, you said something about good read there. What is Connor Hellebuyck doing right when you get the kind of reads we saw from you out there tonight?
I think it went a little bit of a cleaner game. I can kind of get predicting what's going to happen a little bit well, but I just thought the guys in front of me did a phenomenal job allowing me to see pucks and keeping the tips away and clearing the rebounds. It's never just a goalie doing it. It's all everyone out there.
Looks like it was just the goalie doing it on that close save.
Maybe on one save, but I got to be part of the action too sometimes.
What do you see from Nikolai Ehlers out there today?
Just a phenomenal player. He's using his speed. He was thinking the game at a really high pace, and he's just a phenomenal player, and it's fun to watch him when he gets going.
What did you think of Morrissey helping you there in the crease? I wanted to keep that out.
Yeah, like I said, it's a team game, and it takes everyone.
Connor, how much does a game like this help you going on the road where you haven't won a game so far in the playoffs this year?
It helps because we're playing our game, and we know what it looks like, and we know what it feels like. That being said, we got to wipe it and go play a hard road game. It's never easy on the road, and especially not in playoff time.
What did you learn from St. Louis, I guess, that you can take into Dallas this round?
Nothing. We wiped that one clean. We're moving on.
Connor, you seem like you're having fun right now. Does this feel any different than past playoffs or even past playoff games?
A little bit, just because second round, it's we're still playing hockey and it's May. That's fun. It's the best time of year because you've dialed your game in all year long, and you're just going out and playing hockey and having fun.
Thanks.
Thank you.
As usual, Connor Hellebuyck pretty humble in the win there and crediting his team, as he should, Jamie. The guys in front of him. I mean, Dallas was limited to just 6 shots in that third period when they had the goalie pulled with about 8 minutes left. I mean, yeah, they're doing great in front of Hellebuyck, but he was great today. What did you make of his kind of talk with the media there?
Well, it's amazing how a calendar week will change the demeanor, because we were sitting on this panel having to talk about some of the games that went on in St. Louis, and it wasn't very good. I remember saying after the 3rd game in St. Louis, you've had to burn the tape again because it got pulled 3 times. But that's not the case. And I loved his comments after the series against St. Louis, where he said he felt like the weight of the world was off his shoulders. And he said he could just relax and play. We saw it in the 3rd period and then into overtime in Game 7, where that was the Connor Hellebuyck we'd seen all season long. And now in this second round, Game 1, I thought he was rock solid, and tonight he was brilliant. So, you get an opportunity for that reset. You could see he's more relaxed, he's playing his game, and he should credit the guys in front of him because they did a job tonight against Dallas.
Well, yeah, and they did a job in Game 7 to even
Right.
get to this
Exactly.
point, right? But I also think that, game one, there's a lot of runway. So
Yep.
all of a sudden now, that pressure can go off and you can be freer to play. And I think that certainly helps you. But as you mentioned, game two is a different story. You can't go down 2.
No.
Right? So now there's more pressure. And the 10-bell save to me is the one. Because all of a sudden, you have to make a save because all of a sudden one goal changes the landscape of a game.
Yep.
And so you need your goaltender to make that big one. And he made it tonight.
He's about to win his.
Well, and others, like in other nights in St. Louis, those saves weren't available to the team. And the team was out to lunch, but so was he. So now it's a scenario where they're connected, playing well. The team's playing with a confidence in front of him, but he's playing with confidence as well.
And when you say it's related, though, to a degree, when your goaltender is playing extremely well, right? There's a confidence, there's an air, in front of him, just as he knows when you're playing well and behind him. So it's that connected structure and feeling, that you can't quantify that sends you north.
He's about to win his 3rd Vezina trophy, and he definitely brought the Vezina form tonight. You a little bit surprised, guys, maybe because the St. Louis series was so physical, maybe the lack of physicality here from the Dallas Stars a little bit towards Winnipeg?
They're a different team, right? Like St. Louis, Jim Montgomery, you could tell there was a game plan, and that was to get after top players. Certainly after game 1, even game 2, Mark Scheifele had a target on him. Well, so did Josh Morrissey. And it was interesting, Josh Morrissey, as I pointed out in the first period, played over 9 minutes. Nobody hit him.
Yeah.
And this is a guy who, it is surprising because he's not 100%. So you're going, if you can get an extra, and now I know it's hot potato, 1 potato, 2 potatoes, whatever, steamboat, as far as late hits. You don't want to do that. But if he distributes the puck, you still want to finish your check on him. He didn't take a lot of hits tonight. Now, in the 3rd period, he had to absorb a couple, which is fair. But Dallas is a different team. They're not overly physical. They're fast. They're skilled. But they can play physical. And to me, the game plan should have been get after Morrissey when it's his first game in this series.
Well, let's see if Pete DeBoer adjusts to that. His team's been outshot heavily. They were in the first round and outshot here through 2 games against Winnipeg. Here he is, new on SC.
So what was your take on that one? Obviously, the penalties were hard, especially early.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you start the game, with a 4-minute minor, 10 seconds in. They score on the power play, and then one goes off our own skate into the net. You're down 2-0. I don't know how many minutes into the game. That's a big hole in this rink. So self-inflicted the one. The other one's kind of unlucky. Having said that, I thought we pushed hard in the second to try and climb back in the game. Hellebuyck made some saves. We get one there. Maybe the momentum shifts, but that was the game.
Clearly, don't need you to tell us what you need to do to solve the problem. But when your team is in a position where when the team's in a position where most of them trying to break out of their own zone is flipping it to center ice and trying to get out of that, what can be done to maybe get cleaner zone exits and more possession of the puck?
You thought that was our problem? Maybe you should apply for the coaching job.
I'm not trying to apply for the. Okay, how do you solve flipping the puck to center ice?
Next question. Go ahead. Next question. Any non-coaches in here? Hey, Leah.
Was that kind of the Connor Hellebuyck you were expecting to face this series? And how much do you think that was him versus just maybe you guys?
No, he was good. He was really good. I think you can always make it more difficult on him, but he was really good. Yeah.
In the second period, you guys got a bit going on transition.
Yeah.
What fed into that? How'd you guys get that going?
Well, we just pushed. We pushed hard in the second period to climb back in the game. So, it was transition, some forecheck, some power play chances. There was a bunch of little things there that created some good looks for us. So that's what, But we didn't get one. I think we get one, maybe the momentum shifts.
We've talked a lot about penalties the last however many, 10, 15 games. We haven't really talked about the last 3 years. So
yeah.
How do you fix that? And is it something in your DNA that you can fix?
I mean, we can talk about it. We talk about it, but that's in our dressing room. They've got to grab the importance of that and realize it and fix it. Okay, thanks.
And more post-game from Winnipeg Jets. It's Nikolai Ehlers and Josh Morrissey at the podium.
How would you guys? You're welcome. How would you guys describe the energy level you guys had tonight and the pace you played at?
Way better. Obviously, we had talked about getting a better start than last game, and you know, I think everybody could see that we were ready to go. The first 30 minutes, I think we played a really good game. Let them. Then we started playing a little different for the last 10 minutes of the second period, and then got back to it in the third. So that's something that we obviously got to look at. But I think overall we played a really good game, and Bucky made some great saves again.
Same.
Yeah, I agree. I think you know, we obviously want to have a better start, and I thought our first period, especially, we were a lot better tonight. You know, we're gonna have to continue to build off those good starts here, and but it was overall a pretty good game all around, and we're gonna have to take that on the road.
This is for either of you. Just with Connor, you know, he gave the team in front a lot of credit, but how big was he for you guys, especially in that second period when the Stars started to push?
Yeah, I mean, it's what he does every night for us. He's an incredible goaltender. You know, he makes very difficult saves look very easy, routinely and often, and you could tell he was feeling it tonight. And you know, when he's feeling it like that, I mean, it gives the players in front of him, defensemen, forwards, a lot of confidence. So, you know, we'd like to cut down on some of those chances near the end of the second period, but yeah, he was feeling it clearly, and you know, he's done that all year. He's done that for a long time, and you know, we rely on him sometimes too much, but you know, he was incredible tonight.
Nick, this is about the power play goal. It's clear that Dallas pressures you guys to the outside quite a bit, but you found just a moment of space in the middle, and then it looked like you and Gabe had some space kind of off to the sides. What did you see there that made that play possible? And then, of course, how big was it to open with that goal? Lots there, pardon me.
No. I mean, obviously huge to get that goal early, and especially on the power play as well. I also don't want to say too much. You know, you look at video from previous games. You try to find things you can do better, things that are open, and I think we were able to find those tonight.
Josh, a game like that, I know it's just one game in the playoffs, but the way that you guys won, playing your style of play, you know, 4-0 win, is it almost an element of swagger that you guys can take from that kind of game going forward and having won the way you guys did?
Yeah, I think it's a game we can build off of. There was a lot of good things out there. You know, as everybody knows, I think momentum in the playoffs is in-game. I don't think it often carries over from game to game. So we'll try to look at things that we did well today. Be a whole different animal going on the road here, but definitely a lot we can build on. And, you know, obviously power play was great, penalty kill as well, goaltending. So lots we can build off of and take to Dallas.
Josh, what did you see on the box out, and how did you have the presence of mind to clear it with your glove as you were going to the ice?
Yeah, I mean, just an amazing save by Helly to start that. You know, it's a pretty high danger opportunity, and made a great save. Just trying to box out Johnson there on the backside, and I mean, in those moments, it's just desperation. So thankfully, we had Helly to make that save, and then, like I said, just try and get it out of there as fast as possible.
Josh, would you take us back to last Sunday? Describe what happened to you in the first period, and then in the ensuing 5 days, what you've been working through?
Yeah, just wasn't able to play. Was able to play today, so that was nice.
Nikolai, how would you describe the impact Josh had in his return here?
A huge impact, obviously. You know, he's the guy that's so calm with the puck. You know, on the power play goal, he lays it into me there, under pressure. You know, plays physical as well. Can make saves, apparently. he's a guy that does everything really well, and has been a huge impact. Have had a huge impact on us, and been great for us for the last many years. So it's great to have him back.
No offense, Josh, but looking for a little more depth of answer in this one here. That game looked a lot like some of the games you've played against them earlier in the year. Does that just kind of reinforce it if you guys can put out a specific effort, a specific game plan, that you can expect a similar outcome?
I think, like we've talked about all year, we're focused on what we need to do to be successful. Obviously you get into the playoffs and you're facing the same team maybe 7 times in a row. There's the chess match element and the changes from game to game. But I think even within that, our number one focus is our own game and preparing to play the way that's made us successful this year. And I thought tonight we did a lot of those things. So I think regardless of the opponent, there's a way that we have to play, and I thought that we got to that a lot faster tonight to start the game, and played that way for the majority of the night. So that's what we're focused on, is what we can do to be at our best.
Good stuff there from Ehlers and Morrissey. Funny, Josh didn't want to bite on John Liu's question about what happened with your injury and what have you been working through.
It's nice to play.
It's the playoffs, right? So we're not going to get that answer. A lot of praise being thrown around there by the Winnipeg Jets, specifically towards like Connor Hellebuyck. And yeah, Morrissey's back. Ehlers had a great game, but this team is not fully complete until the captain, makes his impact felt. And he was making his impact felt in so many different ways tonight, James.
Well, he's such a well-rounded player, and we all know he's a great two-way player as far as defensively, winning draws, using his big body. But Adam Lowry is a difference maker offensively as well. And, he's the type of guy who imposes his will. He's a good skater for a 6'5" centerman. Tries to go 5-hole there on Ottinger, but he's all around it. And when you're winning those loose puck battles physically, helping turn pucks over, defensively as well, you don't just defend in your own zone. Here's this goal. It goes that short side off of Ottinger. So Adam Lowry all over the score sheet. And listen, absorbing hits as well. Nothing wrong with getting knocked into your own bench by Alex Petrovic. But, Adam Lowry brings a little bit everything to the table, night in and night out. And we saw the best of Adam Lowry tonight.
What I loved about his game tonight, and in particular his goal, is that there were 2 times on that shift where he had to recover the puck to keep the play alive.
Yeah.
Right? And so that puck retrieval, and that's a willingness, that's an assertiveness, that's an urgency to his game. And that's kind of wearing your heart on your sleeve type of guy. And I've been saying throughout this year that I really feel like if you want to be a cup contender, you need to have a 3C. And they've got the best in the game.
Yeah.
And, that is a glue piece up and down the lineup that's elevated, can be played in so many different roles. The accountability around Rantanen from the other night and then making the adjustments today, just outstanding.
Mm-hmm. So now if you're Dallas, I guess it's your turn to sort of respond and make adjustments. And Pete DeBoer, a little bit chippy there with the question. What did you make of that? I mean, I guess if you told him he'd get the split in Winnipeg, there's no problem, right? Is that kind of what he was getting at?
Well, yeah. I mean, the series is tied 1-1, right? And he did say that, they had opportunity if they got just one, but Connor Hellebuyck made some massive saves because it can change the landscape of a game if just one action happens. But really, this was a team that didn't get the rush chances that they're used to getting, right? Yeah. And so you got to credit Winnipeg taking away the neutral zone, getting heavy in and on the forecheck.
Let's hear from Jets head coach Scott Arnael after they tie the series up tonight.
You guys seem to be at your best when you're pressuring. What worked so well in your pressure game tonight?
Well, there's a couple things. Obviously, when we get in the forecheck and we get the pucks down below the tops of the circles and get into our cycle game, that it's to our advantage. Thought we played way faster. I thought we got out of our end quick and it allowed us to get down there. And when we pressure, whether that's in the O zone or whether that's in the D zone, that's the idea, to help work to get the puck back.
To have that kind of effort with your full lineup and in the configuration that you've had it for most of the year, what was that like to see that kind of performance with the lineup that you had?
Yeah, that's the first time since game 71 that everybody's back. So it was good to see. there's obviously the familiarity started with our power play. Obviously having a 4-minute early in the game like that and the score was big. Certainly the crowd, not that they needed a little bit of a push, but man, they got loud after that one and then got the second one quick. But when you have your roster like that, everybody gets aligned into their spots. Having your top 4 defensemen, having your top 6 offensive guys, then you got 2 checking lines, 2 heavy lines. Like we're back to looking finally like we've looked for most of the season.
Scott, just wondering, I know it's a big win tonight, but just going back to St. Louis, the St. Louis series, you guys were winless on the road in that series. What do you have to do in Dallas to maybe pick up a couple wins there?
Yeah, it's going to be tough building. They grabbed home ice from us by winning game 1, so we're going to have to win down there. You know what? It's, lessons learned. Take some of the things from what we've talked about, what we've looked at from that series, and we know that we have to do a lot of what we did tonight. This is a really good hockey team we're going against, and they'll be in behind their fans and in that building. So we got to play that type of game like we played tonight.
With Connor Hellebuyck, the MVP chance for going up at the end tonight as they were in the beginning, but just how big was he, especially in that second period?
Yeah, no, he was fantastic. He's obviously, like I've mentioned a few times, sometimes we take him for granted because he makes the hard look easy, so easy, but he had some acrobatic ones tonight, and I thought, for 51 minutes of that hockey game, we were really good. There was 9-minute span where, puck management wasn't great. We got caught sometimes on our numbers. And then Dallas, you just saw why they're number 2 in the league on their transition, on their ability to attack. And so we got to be aware of that. That's something that we kind of self-inflicted. But, Helly's, made sure that he shut the door on them.
Scott, how would you describe the impact of Nikolai Ehlers? His feet have been going pretty well, but to get a little bit of puck luck and have that kind of offensive impact, what did it mean for your group?
Yeah, it's nice to see him rewarded. Again, another guy that jumped into the middle of the playoff series late, and then in the last series, and, just to have the opportunities that he's had, a lot like Cole, Vladdy, some guys that hadn't had a chance, they had opportunities but hadn't had a chance to score. I'm just real happy for him. He was dominant. He had the puck a lot. I like the fact that he attacked the net there a bunch of times with the puck. We need his line, and we need him doing what he did tonight. And we're a tougher threat when we have all our pieces going like that.
Scott, how would you describe the impact Josh Morrissey had in his return to lineup and his glove save, sweeping that puck out of the crease on that one?
Yeah, our goaltender. No, that was that's the Josh we know. Obviously. Again, it puts everybody in their right spots in the lineup, and he's a big minute man for us. He plays against the other team's top lines. Then you saw what he can do, both quarterback and that power play, and also the offensive side. Him jumping, him in the offensive zone. He's a tough guy to target. He's a tough guy to kind of shut down when he has the puck up there, and liked a lot of what he did. And certainly having him back is a real good feeling for our group.
Part of the second period that there were some transition opportunities for them. You got a real meat and potatoes goal from Adam Lowry, and it became insurance at that time. How important was that, and basically, I guess, their impact on this game?
Yeah, certainly they have the big matchup, the heavy matchup when they got to go against the Hintz line, and tonight, obviously, even last game they did a real good job, and that's a hard match, and they've done a really good job, but. What set that up for me was our fourth line, the shift before. They had a great shift, and they stuck to they hemmed Dallas, mostly their defense in their end of the rink. We actually had all 3 forwards changed on an O-zone possession, and Lowry's line got out there and finished the job off. And for me, that's wearing teams down by being heavy and being relentless, and like that's a big goal in the game. You're up 2, and to get that third one, takes a little bit of the wind out of their sails. But I thought it was a build-up. It was a shift before that kind of built into that one, and then just those guys finishing off. Thank you.
Scott Arnael, a lot more content after game 2. I mean, his team back against the wall. They had to respond, and he got that response from the Jets.
You see how happy he is as well. He said, hasn't had his full lineup since Game 71. So it's nice to get everybody back, everybody feeling good, and then you can slot players accordingly. And that's basically what he's saying is, I can deploy guys where they're supposed to be played instead of having guys to try and punch above their weight.
So the Jets pick up their NHL best 35th home win now, including playoffs. So they haven't lost back-to-back on home ice since January 4th, but now on the road for 2 against Dallas. And like Scott Arnael said, they'll have to win at least one down there.